Hey friends, it's me and Speaker. Um, so it's been a little while since I've made a video specifically for this channel. Um, Things have changed a little bit in the Feeling household. I guess starting not this past May, the May before that, that was when I got into a particularly bad accident. I was on my moped. Somebody didn't stop at a stop sign, 40 miles per hour. Things happened. Um, and after that, my body wasn't doing too well. And on top of that, my brain wasn't doing too well because it turns out when you get violently smashed at 40 miles per hour, your brain doesn't react very well to it. Um, and so I had a good amount of post traumatic stress disorder coming from the accident, which also re traumatized some PTSD from like childhood and early 20s stuff. So things kind of started to go off kilter about there. Um, I made some really strange choices after that. I left the fitness industry full time, went to work at a hospital, promptly did not do well at that job. Um, and then I've just been kind of like figuring it out ever since. So I started school at BU, had to do my first semester part time, and hi. And BU is a school that's full of very young people and a lot of pressure for people who have to work while they're in school. So it was a little rough. Over the summer, I worked at a summer camp full time teaching gymnastics and circus, and it was super fun. And I forgot how much I like teaching kids. But 8 weeks, 9 to 5, it was a lot. So I didn't really get to do any of my own fitness stuff or my own circus stuff all summer, aside from performing. Lots of performing has been happening. If you are in the Boston area or if you're friends with me on Facebook or on Instagram, then I'm sure that you have noticed that trend. And so things have been super, super busy. And because I'm not in the fitness industry full time anymore, I've kind of lost the need or the want to constantly be posting like workouts and how to's and that sort of thing. I really like doing fitness stuff, and now that I'm only part time, I'm way more passionate about doing it. So, right now, I am taking a semester off of BU, and we'll get there. But I'm working at restaurants and I'm taking very few clients at a gym in Jamaica Plain. Um, so why am I taking a semester off at BU? My mental health took a gigantic nosedive over the summer and into the fall. Um, Over the summer, I really should have noticed some of the warning signs that things were going to get out of control, and kind of getting a handle on your personal triggers is such a huge, huge part of relapse prevention and keeping yourself under some sort of control. But I kind of just ignored them. I should have had an outpatient therapist. I did not. So a couple weeks ago, wound up at the ER with a near suicide attempt. Proceeded to go through some inpatient treatment and then partial hospital treatment. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what partial hospital is, a partial hospital is a treatment program that involves you going into a mental like health unit and sitting in for groups and therapy sessions from like 9 to 2, 9 to 3, like that early part of the day into the beginning of the afternoon. The reason that they choose those hours is A, because clinicians don't want to work other days, and nobody can blame them. But primarily, it's to make it feel like you're going to a job, like you're going to work, and like there's somewhere you have to functionally be every day under your own control. So, versus an inpatient or a residential center where you have no choice but to be there, being in partial hospital means that you have to get yourself to do these things. You have to function enough to get yourself to get to the hospital every day, which is a big step for a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of symptoms. So the program I am in right now is trauma-specific, trauma, mood disorders, personality disorders, all of the good stuff in the world that I deal with every single day. And it's a women's specific program, but I find that they're open to all AFAB peoples, and anybody who identifies as a woman, so they would be open to trans folks as well, which is fantastic. I asked a couple questions about that. I was like, hey, non-binary, but like, I'm super affected by these, like, women's issues and the things that come with being an AFAB person with a trauma history. And they didn't really have much of an issue with that. They were very, very open. So today is my first day in their IOP. Their IOP is their intensive outpatient. And so you go from being there 9 to 3 every day to only being there for a part of the day, generally 3 or 4 days a week. And so you choose what section of each day would be most useful. So like what groups you want to make sure that you get in. The first group of the day is always like a check-in, like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? What's your goal for the day? Day two. Group 2 is always DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And if this channel ends up being more just like me talking and processing life, then I might just make a video about what DBT is and how it's helped me. I am not a mental health professional, but I can tell you from my experience what DBT is like for me. But DBT is one of the top treatment methods for specifically trauma. Many other things, but it's one of the things that comes up mostly with trauma treatment. The next group of the day is always like some sort of clinician's choice. So in the different rooms you can choose. Sometimes there's an expressive therapy group. Sometimes it's creative writing. Some groups have like meditation or mindfulness. I personally end up choosing either the discussion-based ones or the expressive therapy-based ones. I'm not a big fan of meditation or like pure mindfulness. There's a truck going by. I don't know if you can hear it or not. It's distracting to me, so I'm going to have a sip of coffee. So, yeah, you have your first couple groups of the day, and then lunch is provided by the hospital, and so that's challenging for many reasons. My social anxiety is all like, who do I sit with? What do I do? Oh my god. So that in and of itself is also a therapeutic exercise. After lunch, there is another group that also tends to fall more in the expressive category. Expressive therapy is something that a lot of people in the group that I've been a part of have found very helpful. But there is one day a week where it is a trauma and like dealing with trauma group. And that is an emotionally intense but very, very helpful group. On Fridays, they do a weekend planning group. One of the things about having mental health symptoms is that unstructured, unplanned time can often cause issues for us. So it's just a good way to make sure you don't have too much of that over the weekend. Because it's good to have some unplanned time to relax, but like if you have too much, then your symptoms can start to take over a little bit. And then the final group of the day is always like a check out. So it's always, this is how my day went, this is my goal for the rest of the day, and this is how I'm going to achieve that goal, like what skills to use to get there. So if that's the whole day, the IOP, you only choose 3 of those groups. So for me, it's definitely going to be the middle of the day, so like the meat of the program. So DBT, that next group, staying for lunch, and then doing the one group after that. I don't particularly find the check-in, check-out groups to be something that I need or like super want to be a part of. I understand how they were helpful at the beginning of my treatment at this place, and I know how helpful they are for other people. And there are certainly other people in the IOP portion of the program that make sure that they are there for one of those groups for accountability reasons, and I think that's great. That's just not for me. Beaker, are you going? He can't make up his mind. He couldn't do it himself. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. Things are a little rough. So finishing up this program, taking my time. It's going to be a lot with Cirque of the Dead in October. But that, at least taking the leave of absence from school for this makes my October, which is always super challenging, it makes it a lot easier to handle. So come spring, the hope is that I will be back at school, and that's it. So I guess like the biggest thing that I would have to say is get help way earlier than I did. If it's something that you're struggling with, if you are dealing with depression, anxiety, or anything else, any mood disturbances, if you notice that you swing around on moods and you don't have a whole lot of control, that would be the time to start thinking of getting help. And I wish that I had gotten help sooner. But that's all I got for today. Maybe there will be more videos coming up, probably more in this vein. We'll see what happens. It'll be great. But for now, you can subscribe. Maybe smash that like button. Not really. Those aren't things that I like to say. Mostly subscribe if you want some more updates or if you want to talk about like what this treatment looks like for a realistic day-to-day person. Or if you just want to see videos of my dog. He's pretty great. Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I will hopefully see y'all soon.